Hey, Scott here. Hope you're well. Ready for an exciting day in front of the charts or trading. So I've already been through the 28 main currency pairs that I go through every day. I selected the ones that I think there are opportunities for. The time here I'm recording this is about 10:30 in the morning on the east coast of Australia. So the Asia market has just kicked off. And obviously we've got the UK and the US market to come. And in that time, of course, things may change. But I've had a good look and there are a few opportunities around today. So let's get into the charts. Put up a screen share. And I will turn off my camera. So you should just get the full screen here. Now, what have we got? So as you can see, this is the way I lay my using TradingView. On the right hand side here are the pairs. I have different sections: best ones, main ones, and then I've got a few other ones as well which are not used at the moment, and one which I'm just watching. As you can see, the watching ones are things that may play out in tomorrow, next day, who knows, but something quite interesting is going to happen sometime soon. So I've got those in my watching list here. And as you can see, there's lots of euros, lots of pounds, lots of yens. So a few things could be happening later this week or early next week. So the main charts, we'll start on the daily. We're looking at euro dollar here. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a solid downtrend with a nice trend line here on the daily. And it's hit this major resistance level, which has been bouncing off a bit. Just broke through a few days ago, and now it seems to be breaking up again. So that could be a good opportunity for a long position. Now, if I pull up the daily, it's the big one at the bottom. If I pull up the indicators I use, the MACD is showing, although it's a lower low on the price chart here, we have a higher low on the MACD. You can just about see that, got a higher low here. So that's showing a MACD divergence. And the RSI is pretty overbought. It certainly was a few weeks ago. And again, we've got an RSI divergence as well. So that's indicating that a good chance the price is now going to move higher after a good bullish day yesterday. So the other lines on here, the daily 50 is the red one, and the daily 20 is the blue one. So we're almost at the daily 20, as you can see, but we'll see that also when I go to the lower time frames. So we're looking for a long trade here. Now, what do we have? This is the hourly. I'll just zoom back out to the. So here we have the lower time frames. We've got the 4-hour up in the top left. We've got the 5-minute up here in the top right, and down the bottom we've got the 1 hour. And again, on the 1 hour, we've got the red one is the hourly 50, and the blue is the 4-hour 50. So we won't go into the 4-hour or the 5-minute at this stage. There's not much to value to gain from that. But if we look at the 1 hour chart, euro dollar, I've found, is not a particularly nice, clean price action chart to follow. But we do have a definite trend line here going down for the past few days. From the end of last week, and it's been bouncing against it, and finally it bounced against it here and then broke through last night. So we've broken above the 4-hour 50, which is this blue line. The hourly 50 is below us, and it's broken above that, and it's going to pull down. Looks like it's going to pull back down to the 4-hour 50, and maybe the 1 hour 50 will come off and meet it as well. So it gives us a good opportunity for what we call a CBO strategy, confirmed breakout or complete breakout. And that would give us potential 1.5+%. And this red line here is the daily 20, which I showed you on the daily chart. And there's a green line up here, so it's a daily 50. So we could easily push this a lot higher, depending on what your trading style is. So for a minimum target, it would be the daily 20 for me, and that would give 1.5% plus. If it pulls back here and gives us an entry. So US dollar is one of the best ones we can see. It's in my best list here. Okay, let's now go to dollar CAD. Dollar CAD, again a bit of a messy chart, dollar against the CAD, Canadian dollar, but it's in an uptrend. Get this major level here. The monthly 50, we're just above the monthly 50, above the weekly 50 and heading up. But we've hit this major support level here, resistance level here, and it's been bouncing up a few days, and there's a lovely high test candle yesterday. So the latest candle here, the green one, is not formed, it's today's candle. So we don't really care about that one so much, but yesterday's candle was a nice bearish looking high test against this major level. So I like that, that's a good short opportunity. Hence my nice big yellow arrow here to remind me this is a very strong, what we call a DDP, daily direction prediction. So my prediction for today is a short trade. So let's go to the lower time frames. We'll just stick to the 1 hour chart because everything is on here. We've got the hourly 50, the 4 hour 50, the daily 20, and the daily 50. Now, again, we have a nice trend line from last week, sometime, middle of last week. And it's been banging against it here, trying to go short. Eventually it broke through. This broke through on Monday, Tuesday. But then it came straight back. It tested it, retested it, and broke through again. So it now became support again. Then it broke through, came up. Now it's finally broken through substantially. It's left it be way behind. So that looks to me like it's a good downtrend starting. Now, do we have a downtrend starting? What do we have? Look at the hourly price action. We have a level here, which is it's been banging against there. That's acting as resistance. That's fine. So we have a new resistance level there, which is now produced a nice double top or a triple top even. We've broken the trend line, which is very strong. It's very important to break that trend line. And we've broken down below the 1 hour 50. Again, a nice signal that it's we've got a short action happening here. The trade, the price action seems to be going lower. But although we have a triple top, do we have a lower low? A lower low would indicate that we are now in a downtrend. Well, if you look at these lows here, the big lows, we're still in an uptrend, but we do have a low here. So we've got a low, double top, we break that double top, and we go to a lower low here. So that's the indication that it looks like the trend has changed to a downtrend. Now, when it pulls back to the 1 hour 50, that could be our entry. Got a fib on here to see it also lines up with 382. And that could be an entry here. Now, we've already hit the 4 hour 50, just about touched the 4 hour 50. So we'll be trading through it. What we call an IBOC, initial breakout. It'll be a C, discretionary initial breakout, because we've already had 2 breakouts through the 1 hour 50, but none of them actually played out. The uptrend was still intact until we had this new downtrend forming. So we've got a potential IBOC here, entry around the 382, and we've got potentially a couple of percent, 2+% to make before the daily 20, this red line here. So that one looks like quite a good opportunity, and it's coming back now. Being a dollar pair, we can trade it through the Asia session, although usually, of course, the main action will happen when the UK session opens, or the big volume comes in. But keep an eye on that one. I've got an alert set here, which is this yellow line, dotted yellow line, with a little alarm bell there to answer an alert. So should it get close to the 382 or the 1 hour 50, I'll get a notification. I can see if a trade is setting up. So that's dollar CAD. That looks nice as well. Next one I've got on my list is dollar Swiss. Looking at the daily. Again, the dollar, which has been in a strong uptrend, we can actually go to the DXY, which is the dollar index. And we can see that it's been in on a bit of a tear, a few pullbacks, but it's still going pretty strong. But maybe it's hitting this level here and it's time for a little pullback. Do you have a MACD divergence? Yes, we do. So here we have a higher high from here to here, quite clearly a higher high in the price action, but a much lower low on the MACD. So that's a MACD divergence indicating there could be a downtrend. And again, RSI is very overbought, and there's also an RSI divergence as well, indicating that there could be low prices coming. Only for the short term maybe, but enough maybe to trade back down to the daily 20. Of course, we don't trade the DXY, but it gives us an indication of how the dollar is doing against other currencies. So, dollar Swiss. Again, we have a major support level here, which is hitting against. My DDP is a strong down, again, because we've had a very bearish candle yesterday. A bit of a test against that major level, and the major level held, and it came down. So we've got room down here to the daily 20. This is the daily chart for dollar Swiss. Let's go to the hourly chart. And again, we've got some trend lines in play. Now, we've had quite a few trend lines. These ones here, this one here, I think we can remove that one now. That one has already played out. This trend line here held, got retested a few days ago, indicating we're in a downtrend. And this is a long-term trend line here, which we can just show you how far back it goes. So this really was actually a 4-hour trend line. So on the 4-hour, it can be seen quite clearly. It touches here, it touches there as a 4-hour test, and then it touches here just a couple of days ago, and now we've finally broken it, and it looks like it might be going back to retest it. So that is a key trend line indicating the trend change. Again, we've got a change. This is a definite change in trend, because we have higher highs and higher lows up to here. And then we've got a lower low, lower high maybe, or you could call it a double top. And then a definite break through that trend line, gone through to my 4-hour 50 even here, this blue line, and it's pulling back. And if it pulls back to, I've done a fib on here, if it pulls back to 382, the 1-hour 50, and even this trend line, that is a nice indication there for some serious, solid resistance should it get back to this level. People would be trading a 382 fib short, some people would be trading a 1-hour 50 short, and some people would be trading to retest this trend line short. So all in all, that to me looks like a really nice looking trade. Then it's slight disadvantage, of course, is it's already hit the 4-hour 50. But all indications say we're going to have a nice trade here. And if you go down to the daily 20, we've got 2.3%. That would be a nice trade if that plays out. So again, I've got an alert set here just before the 382. And this will alert me on this pullback getting close to an entry here. So that's probably my favorite. I'll put that at the top of my list. Now, I'll quickly go through these main ones, which are looking pretty good, but not quite as premium as the ones we just looked at. Okay, so this one here, I need to turn the daily pivots on. Actually, I'll go to the daily first. So the daily shows we've had on the weekly, we've got a really strong MACD indicating that the price is going to keep going up on the weekly. The trend changed from a downtrend to an uptrend. We've got room up here to the weekly 50. On the daily, we have a major level which is broken through. We have the 1-hour 50, the daily 50 that's broken through, and it bounced off the daily 20, the blue line. And if we do a fib extension, if that is wave 1, Elliott wave, wave 1, wave 2 pullback, and a wave, middle of wave 3 now, potentially we could be looking at a wave 3 up to this level here, which is what, 1.52, close to 1.52, which is plenty of potential for an uptrend. So there's loads of room there for this uptrend to continue. So that's the daily. Let's go to the hourly chart. So as you can see, it's been on a bit of a tear up here. It's broken new highs. This is the previous highs, broken new highs, and it's been bouncing upwards. So we need it to come and pull back. The reason it's in my main list, not on my best list, because this is just a one-to-one trade, jumping onto the daily pivot here. For me personally, you'll need to pull back to the pivot and also the 1 hour 50, which is quite a way behind. So that's why I'm not too keen on it, because it's very unlikely to play out to what I'm looking for. And it's also almost hit R1 already. So it's almost hit the profit target before it pulls back. So it's not looking particularly good. When I first saw it an hour or so ago, it wasn't quite so high. So I want to keep an eye on it anyway. Got an alert here if it does pull back towards the pivot and this trend line. And of course, hit the 1 hour 50, you have to break this trend line. And then if this trend line breaks, then it's not such a good trade anymore. Now, the blue ones I have here, I've got 3 blue ones, all pound. These are ones which may play out later today. So nothing really setting up right now. We'll go to pound CAD on the daily. And here we see a really big downtrend. A nice low test yesterday. And that's maybe it's ready to go higher. There's probably no MACD. You could say it's a MACD divergence because it's a very similar, slightly lower low from this low here, but it's a much lower low on the price action. So you could call that a MACD divergence, which indicates a change in direction. And we've also got the RSI, which is also very oversold. So again, that's looking like it's time for it to reverse. And if you look at the weekly, wow. That is a huge downtrend. Of course, CAD's been strong, the euro and the pound been weak, so we've had this really strong downtrend on monthly as well. So back to the hourly chart. Got some long-term trend lines in here. I love my trend lines. As you can see, it's pretty clear. Price action hit this trend line here and bounced off. Hit this trend line here and bounced off again. So they are playing out pretty strongly. We had a breakthrough last night. This trend line here, which go with a new low, which go with that low test we saw on the daily, to come back above this trend line, and we need it to break this 1 hour 50 to give us a trade. So potentially, it looks like it's going to come back and retest this trend line here. If it does, comes back up above the 1 hour 50, it may give us an IBO of some sort later today or tomorrow perhaps. Being pound CAD, it's not really an Asia session kind of pair. So it's not going to happen in the next few hours for sure. You can see anyway, because it's still going down. We need to go back up and break this 1 hour 50 properly. Okay, next one we'll quickly look at is pound Swiss, a very similar kind of looking daily. Again, we've got bouncing around down here. There's no real major support level because it's the lows are lowest lows ever. So we're not going to get any, we can't prove any strength in that support. But it's definitely oversold. We've got a massive MACD divergence going from right back here, from these lows here. It's getting higher and higher, and it's getting lower and lower. It's looking like it's going to be going short, sorry, long, and RSI has been oversold for a long time. So again, we're looking for that to become an uptrend. Trend lines here, this one has been rejected a few times. So we'd expect that to get rejected or become significant resistance if it gets up there again. That lines up with the day 20. You can see that red line there. Here we've got a new low. We need some proof that this has changed direction. All we're getting at the moment, although we had a higher high yesterday from this high here, a higher high, we've had a lower low since. So we need proof of changing direction. So we won't be jumping on this until we break this trend line. And then maybe when it retests that trend line and the hourly 50, we'll get a trade on, and that will prove that there's a good chance this trend has changed into an uptrend. Otherwise, you could say it's been going sideways for a long time, and maybe it's not worth, maybe it's a bit too risky. That's something down to your risk tolerance. Pound USD, pound dollar is very similar. So again, we've got a really big downtrend. The dollar has been strong, as we've seen, but a few pairs are showing some dollar weakness now. We had a low test yesterday on the daily, which is indicating that maybe this is the time it's going to turn around. So we need some kind of proof on the lower time frame. Here's the hourly chart. Again, we've got some trend lines which have been holding and getting broken occasionally. This one here is going to... So there's a potential trade setting up now, but it's the fibs don't really line up. Fib from the bottom to the top for this uptrend here. It's one out uptrend, but the fibs don't line up, and we've got this trend line to contend with. It goes back a fair way, goes way back past that. There we go. So it goes back quite a long way. So we don't really want to trade through that. So I would suggest the trade is not on right now, and I will be waiting until it maybe comes back and retests this line. Maybe it goes from here to here, breaks up here, pulls back to here where the 1 hour 50 will be, and then we might get a decent run up to here, up to the daily 20 or the daily 50. Won't be quite as steep as that, of course. I'm running out of room. You get the idea. So this I expect to be resistance until it's broken, and then we have this other line here. So if you want to trade through that, we could. That other line, trend line, is not quite as strong. It's only got a few touches going way back. Otherwise, you'd wait for a break of the 4 hour 50 and do a 4 hour strategy called the CBO, complete breakout, and then trade the 4 hour 50. And you could trade that up to the daily 20 or the daily 50 even. There's a few options there, but nothing playing out right now. I'd suggest, because of this trend line stopping me entering the trade there, certainly, even though, and the fibs don't line up very well either. So that's my quick summary. Lots of things may be happening later, either Friday or early next week. The yen needs to find some strength. The yen's been really hammered down, so all these yen pairs are really overbought, and then euro and the pound are doing some stuff as well. So we're going to some exciting price action later. I'll stop my screen share. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. There's a few to look at today, and there'll be a few more in the coming. There'll be a few more in the coming days as well, I hope. And I'll give you an update hopefully tomorrow about the same time. Okay, have a good trading day. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.